Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Go somewhere and visit, like, I don't know, your family relatives, your relatives, to let out your femininity, the realization, and this is part 2 of my love story, I guess, my relationship story. And if you haven't heard part 1, please watch the previous video. So in part number 1, I shared with you how my love life looked like from the very beginning, from my very first relationship, what concepts I learned from my parents, what limiting ideas about how to build relationships that I learned from my parents, from my family, and where it led me, and how all my relationships looked like, where was my self-esteem and how my self-image was back then. And so I ended that story by telling you about how I ended my last relationship. And so after that, I realized that I don't know how to build relationship. I can't build a relationship I dream about, and it's time for me to stop trying and stop making all the same mistakes, and it's time for me to change something. And back then, even being like, while I was still in my past relationship, I found 2 Russian teachers, coaches, who were talking about relationship, and I was learning from them. But I was trying to I wasn't even trying, like, I tried to take some concepts from them and use them in the relationship I had. But I wasn't trying that much, because as one of those teachers said, you like to rebuild your relationship, you need to break it down to the foundation, and then start building it again. He was giving this metaphor often, where you build a house, and the foundation was so weak and almost non-existent, and now you're trying to rebuild it, because it just it falls down, this building, and you cannot put enough stuff under it to make it work. You need to actually break it down to the foundation and to start rebuilding it again. And this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to fix the not working relationship for some time, and then I ended it, and then I was ready to learn. And the first step for me was to admit that I don't know how to build relationship I dream about, and that I, for now, choose to not build any relationship. I'm done with the relationship that I can build. I don't want to deal with that kind of relationship. I don't want to repeat the same relationship with different people, with different men. And it was a big step for me to tell my mom that for now I choose to not have a relationship, because I always felt, maybe not judgment, I wouldn't say judgment, because she was the one who taught me to, she was trying to make me hold my standards high. But we teach not by what we say, but we teach by our example. And her words made sense, but the way she was acting with my dad, in a relationship with my dad, was like exactly what it was teaching me. And so this is why I realized that neither my mom nor me, myself, know how to build a relationship. And it was scary for me. Back then I was 26 years old, and it was scary for me to tell my parents that I'm not gonna be looking for any relationship anytime soon, because all this pressure that we experience as women, that like if we're not married by the age of like 24, I don't know, 21, then there's something wrong with us, and we need to be like, the sooner we get married the better, because otherwise, you know, it's all those stereotypes that we can't find, like that it gets harder to find relationship when we turn 30. Like the older we are, the harder it gets to build a relationship, which is a bullshit, which is like a complete lie. Don't buy into it, please, because this is just bullshit. And so I began studying. I was listening to all sorts of lectures on relationship from those two teachers, and this is a very important lesson I want to share with you here, that don't listen to everybody. There are so many people who try to teach you about the relationship, about your business, about like everything basically. And you can't listen to them all, because sometimes they say the same thing, sometimes they contradict each other. But when you listen to, like, I don't know, 30 people, 20 people teaching you the same stuff over and over again, you're at like level 1 of all those teachings. And what you need to do then is find people who you resonate with, whose teachings make sense to you, and you need to go deeper with them. Because like you can sometimes listen to something else, like to somebody else, but you know, you probably heard this, like if you've been in this area, in the sphere of personal growth, you've probably seen this and heard this concept a bunch of times, that people in the beginning of building their business, they listen everybody's advice, and people who make 6 figures listen advice from selected few people. And that does make sense, because otherwise you just listen advice to everyone's advice, and you just you're not stepping forward. You're just taking all this knowledge from different people, and they all have different systems, and like to move forward, you need to pick the system you're gonna follow and move on, you know, move further, go next level with that teacher. And so this is what I did. I chose 2 teachers. I was listening to their free content, and I bought a course from one of them. And her course was, I'm not sure, I can't remember how it was called. No, I actually do remember. She had this theory about that. I don't know how it's called in English. In Russian, it was like a woman minus, a woman plus, and a woman 0. So her theory was that there are like negatively charged women and positively charged women, and also like not charged women. And she was talking about the feminine qualities in women. Like, my point is, her course was targeted at women who want to find love, who want to build a successful relationship. But it ended up being a course about self-love. And this is like, she was the one who taught me what it means to be like a positively charged feminine woman, to let out your femininity, to let yourself be vulnerable, to let yourself, like she taught me to let me be vulnerable, to put myself first. I remember crying so much. There was a lot of homework. And I remember one of the practices she taught us It was called cake practice or something, can't remember, but the point was that she gave, like, it was actually homework. She made us buy ourselves a cake and cut the first most beautiful, the yummiest piece of that cake and eat it. Like, she was teaching by that practice that the yummiest, the most beautiful piece of cake is for us, and then everything else we divide and give to our family, like to our kids, to our husbands, like, and etc, etc. And I remember this practice. It was like, it hit me. And I even found not long ago the entry in my journal about this, where it caused some digging, some, self-reflection in me. And for the first time, I don't know, maybe in my life, I managed to realize that I was not putting myself first. I didn't even, like, I was not taught to do this. It didn't make sense to me, because when they teach you that you need to treat others the way you want to treat like the way you want others to treat you. And this is how I try to live, and to treat myself, like to put myself first and to give to myself the yummiest piece of cake, to like the best treatment, the priority, like prioritize my alone time, for example. It was something absolutely new, something I wasn't used to. And to let myself feel the emotions and cry things out, and to actually become this motherly figure for myself and take care of me, because if I don't take care of me, no one else will. It was something absolutely new for me. And in that journal entry, I wrote down that, like, I remembered maybe not all the situations where I was not putting myself first, but a lot of situations, a lot of ways where I put my boyfriends first, and their interest, and their desires and their opinion over mine. And I felt so hurt, and that started feeling like I was betraying myself all this time, because I just didn't feel my value. I didn't feel my worthiness. I was just throwing myself under the bus every time to make everybody else like me. And that hurt. The realization of this hurt real bad. And I also wrote in that entry that for the first time in my life, after a lot of crying and a lot of remembering, I managed to look at my photo and honestly tell myself that I am beautiful, and that this beauty, this amazing girl that I've known all my life, I was throwing under the bus to please other people. I was neglecting myself. I wasn't protecting myself. I wasn't standing up for myself, for this amazing girl that I want to be loved and treated right and adored. And deep inside, I felt that I deserve all this. I want all this. I want to be loved. I want to be adored. I want to be heard. I want to be seen the way I am, and I want to be protected. I want to be safe. And I wasn't getting all of that even from myself. And that was painful to realize, and I had to do a lot of forgiving. And after that teacher, after her course, I began listening to myself. I realized that I don't have any other hobby except for trying to build relationships. That's when I had to, for the first time in my life, figure out what my hobbies are. What do I want to do, like, for myself? Remember all the dreams that I had, like speaking Spanish or, studying astronomy or something else, like everything else. I didn't know myself. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I dreamt about, because like all my dreams and all my desires were like, I didn't pay attention to them, because all my life, ever since I was 17 or maybe even earlier, I was busy trying to please others, trying to please my boyfriends, trying to make myself likable. I didn't know myself. And that's when I began developing hobbies. I literally was making lists of things that are like somewhat interesting for me, and I was trying to dig deeper. Like, I was reading about this, I was studying about this to figure out what my interests are. And also during that time, I also found an entry. I remember that entry from my diary. I finally began thriving, being excited about my life, being excited about waking up in the morning. And because I had hobbies, because I was learning songs in Spanish, because I was studying fashion and reading like Vogue magazines nonstop. And I was excited about my life. And my mom once called me and said that, like, it's all good. Yeah, I shared with her that, like, I'm so excited about my life now. And she was like, yeah, that's all good, but you're 26 and you're not doing anything to look for a husband. Like, I understand all your excitement, but you're 26 and you're not doing anything. Like, you need to start doing at least something. And since my mom was such an authority for me for a long time, like till I was 28, I gave in again, and she made me, I'm not joking, she made me create a profile on a bunch of dating apps. And I was so not interested in this. I was angry with men, I guess, back then. And I spent so much time trying to please men that I was just not interested in dating. And how it looked like, my mom was excited, and my mom thought it was fun to meet people online. And so somebody would text me, and I would just take a screenshot and send it to mom, and my mom would come up with a smart answer, and I would just send that answer because I just didn't give a shit. And I was on a couple dates, and for me, the men I met were so not worthy of noticing, of paying it, like of actually thinking about, anything serious. Like, I was not interested in that. And that's when I had a bunch of crappy first dates, where the longer I was talking to those guys, the more I understood. I was realizing that, like, I don't want that. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not interested in those people. Like, my standards, thanks to that course, thanks to those two teachers, started rising up, leveling up. And the people I was meeting were not matching those standards. And just the fact that I had to go on first dates with men from dating apps, it was just not for me. And like, I'm not saying that it's not for everybody. There are people who meet the love of their lives on dating apps, and this is amazing. It's just that we need to do what resonates. We don't need to push ourselves. We don't need to make ourselves do anything. We need to, get aligned, take care of ourselves, set our standards, and then do what we're inspired to do, not what we're made to do. And this is like the biggest lesson from that time where I was using dating apps. And so it didn't last long, maybe a couple months, and then I said, I'm done. Like, no. And that was the next big step, where I had to admit to myself and my mom that relationship is not a priority for me right now. and that like if I don't find anybody, and I'm an introvert, this was one more reason why I hated dating apps. I never had a relationship with people I never knew before. I never actually had first dates in my life before that period with dating apps. Because I always chose people that I knew, I was friends with first, and that was important for me. That was my standard. It was important for me to know that people who I talk to know me before we're dating, because I always hated that, that atmosphere on the first date where people just ask questions not to get to know you, but to see if you are a wife material or a girlfriend material or not. I just hated it. And I couldn't relax on first dates. And so yeah, it was time for me to admit that if I don't find a man like in a natural way, natural for me, where I don't have to push it to, put myself on the market, because using dating apps felt like this to me, then I'd rather not focus on that. Maybe I'll just do my thing, and if I don't meet anybody ever, I'm gonna have to be fine with this. And it was easier to accept, easier to admit to myself than to my parents. And this was the first time when I stepped up, and protected myself and said to my parents something I agreed with and they didn't agree with. And I don't even remember their reaction, because, their reaction wasn't important. The fact that I had the gut to, stand up for myself and to articulate something that was terrible for them, that meant a lot to me, that I finally began protecting myself, not just, pleasing my mom. And by that time I was like 27 maybe already, and this is when the place where I was working began feeling like less than I want, and my standards about what I want to do got higher too. And I started looking for another job, and then I quit this one because I needed to, I quit the job that I had because I found a different one, but I never ended up starting that one because I didn't like the person who was supposed to be my manager, because it was a sales job and he expected me to do cold calls and cold visits actually. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it, because convincing people to buy something from me when they don't want to buy anything from me, it was just also, I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't feel it was needed for me to be rejected first, so people would then at some point see my value. And this is when I began streaming on Twitch. And by that time, I was listening to Abraham Hicks, I was listening to Louise Hay, I was doing a lot of mirror work, and I have a video about mirror work, and I'll put the link in the description box. And so I was healing a lot, I was listening a lot of spiritual teachers and coaches, I was doing a lot of forgiving work, a lot of journaling. I was healing. It was the time of intense healing for me. And so I didn't want to focus on my love life. I was too busy setting my standard for the people I wanted to see on my streams. I was fierce back then. I set some standards for my channel. I didn't allow cuss words there. Well, because English speakers sometimes ask me about that, and I do use cuss words sometimes myself. But the thing is that there are not many cuss words in English, not as many as in Russian. And I'm fine with using cuss words, but there are a lot of people who just speak cuss language, especially in Russian. I haven't met such people in English. Maybe I have, I don't remember. But in Russian, it's just that some people just substitute normal words with cuss words, and there are a lot of them. There are adjectives, there are like nouns, a lot of verbs, and this is not pleasant for your ears because, yeah, no, I still don't like it. I do use cuss words myself, but I like when they make your speech richer, when you can share your feelings through using those words, not when you just use them instead of normal words in every like normal conversation. And I also didn't like trolling, I never got trolling. I didn't like pranks and some, sarcastic jokes. And yeah, my standards for the conversations I'm ready to have on my channel were too, like, my standards were too high and my rules were too strict for Twitch. And this is why I had a lot of people who would, come to my stream and say, like, who do you think you are, and you are too demanding and you need to, lower your standards a little bit, like, look at this princess. And I was practicing setting boundaries. Twitch was an amazing place to teach me how to set boundaries and how to protect myself and how to stand up for myself and how to not settle for less and let others know that what I want in life is like what I get to have. And if you cannot handle me, if you cannot talk to me on my terms, then it's fine, you're just free to go. We don't have to settle for each other. Like, I get to be the princess that I want to be, and you get to be like whoever you want to be. We just don't have to stay on the same channel, in the same room, in the same space. And I was learning to speak my truth and ban everyone who disagrees, and that was a nice experience to have. And this was also, it was teaching me a lot about how to build relationship, like, not only romantic relationships but all the relationships in my life. I understood that there are people who don't mind me the way I am, and I don't have to change myself, I don't have to settle for less. I get to choose who I talk to, and I get to, respect myself during all that and put myself first. There was a lot to learn, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to Twitch for being what it is. And during that time, I had a crush on one person I knew online. I met on Twitch, and he was this, like, he was interesting. We talked a lot, but there was this energy around him. He was not available all the time. Like, we had really nice conversations. He found me interesting. He accepted me. He was a lot of things that my previous boyfriends never were, but at the same time, he wasn't always available. Like, he was the one who could text me and then disappear for 3 days, like, for no reason, and I would see him like in different chats on different, like, on other streamers' channels. He was just not responding to me, and I was and this, like, I had a crush on him. I listened to Abraham because I was trying to deal with this, because I didn't want to have a crush on him. And it was during the period where I was healing, and all of a sudden I'm finding myself in the same shitty situation, and I was like, oh my god, I need to learn more. I need to know better. And I healed a lot of triggers back then, because I was using this crush to heal myself further. Because when you have a crush, you kinda, like, it's an experience, it's an opportunity to use all the knowledge that you gathered to to practice, to actually learn how these concepts work in real life. And this is what I was doing. There was a lot of healing, there were a lot of triggers, and at some point I got it. Like, this crash lasted like for 4 months, and then I realized it, and I was able to free myself. I was able to just accept the fact that, okay, I have a crush because I still want love. This is a sign for me that I am not ready to, to never date again. I want love. I want to be loved. I want this connection. I want this togetherness. I want relationship, but not with this guy. He helped me to realize through facing what I don't want, what I do want. And I want a guy who is available. And if he's busy, he would just respond to me and say, hey, I don't have time right now. I'm busy, but I will get back to you as soon as I'm free. And then we'll talk. And I don't even remember if I made that list, actually, of the qualities, that I want to see in a man. But that was definitely one of the things that I wanted. I wanted my man to be available. And I just let myself figure out my boundaries, figure out my standards based on my boundaries. Like, if I didn't feel comfortable, there's something there. Like, I will heal. It's my job to heal. Like, if something triggers me, it's my job to heal. But do I want to see this quality in my future man or not? In my future husband or not? And if it's not, then that's not him, and he's free to go. And so I gave myself time to heal. I gave myself time to get over it. And at the same time, I learned how to observe myself, and see how my behavior changes when he's around, like when he shows up on my stream. And I began observing myself, and then writing in my journal like how I change, what it triggers in me. There was some jealousy that I had to work through, and also up leveling my standards, that I don't want a man who seems to be fine with making me jealous. I don't even know if he knew about the fact that I had a crush on him, but I just added those things in my imaginary list of the things that I'm looking for in my future husband. And then one day I woke up and I spent all day doing my thing, and I didn't remember about him once. And this is when I realized that I'm healing, and oh my god, how good it feels to not be that obsessed with a guy, where I can just do my thing and I can feel happy, just because so much space now is free in my mind. And yeah, that felt like a huge relief. And this is when I met my future husband. I mean, he is now my husband. I met him also on Twitch. And here I also need to say haha to what my mom used to say, that I am not looking constantly for a man, and this is why I will never get married. And I met him on my terms. I met him in a place where I was not expecting my man to be, I didn't expect to meet my future husband there. This is not why I was streaming. I was streaming because I was very talkative and I wanted to help people somehow. And I believed back then that by just showing up on Twitch and talking to people who want to talk to me, I make their life better. Because some people they're introverted and they spend a lot of time on the internet and they want a normal, decent human conversation. Maybe it's about something important, maybe it's about something not important. But during all this time that I was talking, and he was with me. He followed my channel a few months in. I started streaming in March. I started streaming in March. And he followed me in May, and ever since that, he's been with me. And for now, in the beginning, he was just lurking, he was just listening to everything I had to say. And I was, as you remember, I was learning how to stand up for myself and how to articulate my needs and my desires. And there were a lot of questions that people asked, like, what are you looking for in your future husband? And there were questions like, I am vegetarian, and I'm not vegetarian. I used to be vegan, like strict vegan, but then, and like, it's a totally different story. My mom was expecting that I will die soon if I don't start eating meat. And so I started eating a little bit of fish because, like, that was that time where it was easier for me to agree, like to say yes than to explain why not. And so the point is that I didn't eat meat, just fish. And there were questions like, what's gonna happen if your future husband eats meat? Like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, now these questions don't make sense to me. Like, so what? This is a totally different person. Like, if he wants to eat meat, he can eat meat. I mean, it's not that important to me. I'm not gonna be cooking meat though, so if he wants to eat meat, he will have to cook it himself. And there were a lot of people on Twitch who were like, oh, you're such a princess, but women like supposed to cook for their men and blah blah blah. Or questions like, what's gonna happen if your future husband hates cats? And I had two, and I was like, that is impossible. And they're like, I know, but what if? And I was like, no, there can't even be any if. What are you talking about? I love cats, so it's a must that my future husband loves cats. There can't be any other way. And so by answering these questions, I was also like making it normal in my own mind that this is how it gets to be. And all this time he was just listening, and he was just present on my streams, and he was not talking much. And then we started chatting, and then like I needed his help once, and this is how we started having conversations like off stream outside Twitch. And we ended up just being friends for a year and a half. It was a long distance thing. It was a long distance friendship. So we had a lot of time to talk. We lived in different cities. And then we realized that we're in love with each other. And it wasn't just like that, because first I had feelings for him and he didn't have feelings for me. And I told him about this, and he was like, I'm sorry, not feeling it. And I was like hurt, but then again, I worked through that, and I was like, okay. And Abraham Hicks helped a lot during that time. And we managed to stay friends anyway, because he was a nice person, and we had he got me and he accepted me, and I learned how to articulate my needs and how to be myself. And there were many times where he would say something and I would feel hurt, and because I didn't know how to speak about my feelings, I would feel upset and just shut down completely and stop talking to him. And I would expect him to move on, and I would be like, okay, that's not him, and he's not what I'm looking for, next one. And he would still be there. He would show up the next day and ask me, and I would explain to him why I felt hurt, and he would understand. And I would be like, that works? You could do that? You could just explain your feelings and he would be fine with that? I had a lot to learn during that time. And then I was over him, and he had feelings for me, and I told him, I'm sorry, I don't feel it. And we still managed to be friends. And it was a long journey until we finally realized that now we love each other. We're in love with each other at the same time, finally. And so from there, again, for a while, it was for a year maybe, maybe like for 6 months, no, for a year. I think for a year. It was a long distance relationship where again we had a lot of time to talk about everything. We talked a lot, and this experience was amazing because it taught me how to actually talk about my feelings, how to explain things, and be fine with the fact that people cannot read my mind, that I need to explain stuff, and also be responsible for my own feelings. And what I needed from him, I needed to give it to myself first, because you know, when it's a long distance thing, you want cuddles, you want love, you want attention, and he sometimes can't give you an attention you need. And you have to realize that you're actually just looking for attention from yourself, and you need, like, you are actually capable of giving your love, your attention, your support to yourself right now, even if he can't. Like, you're not dependent on him. And from that point, to continue building respectful, amazing, beautiful relationship. And so the story is already longer than I expected it to be. But so my point B, like I spent a lot of time talking to you like about my point A, like where I started from, where I was, how I was in my relationship and how my relationship were. And then I shared with you my journey. And point B now is that we got married in in December. Jesus. We got married in December last year, 2020. And here we are. And I can't say that relationship is hard work. No, when you have the instruments, when you have the tools, and you know what to do, and you know how to address issues, we have some things sometimes that need negotiating, you know, that need discussing, because yeah, my feelings sometimes get hurt, sometimes his feelings get hurt, but we all know that we're on the same team and that we never wanted to hurt each other. It's just that sometimes we, you know, forget about being mindful in our relationship, and that's okay. And then we discuss it, and it's fine. And I'm still responsible for healing my triggers, and he's still responsible for healing his triggers. And yeah, and so I'm here, a living example of that we can heal, and that our standards are our friends, and we never have to settle for less than we want. We get to have everything we want in a relationship, and we get to put ourselves first. And a healthy partner is the one who understands that that's how it should be, because a healthy relationship is when there are two people, two separate individuals who put themselves first, who love and respect themselves. And from this point, we don't spend time trying to, you know, to fill the void within us. And we just get to enjoy each other's company and be together and move forward, and at the same time, you know, build a family together and be individuals with our own hobbies, with our own interests. And nobody has to drown in anybody. This is not how relationship works. I hope this video was inspiring for you, and I hope I managed to let you know that it takes healing, but everything takes healing, and it's your responsibility to heal, and it's your responsibility to put yourself first, to lead by example, and let others know that you set the standard for how people treat you, and then you just expect the same thing from them. And also that when you learn how to love yourself, you then know how to unconditionally love your partner. Because, you know, we can talk about love, but when the only example of love that we see is like from the movies, then we don't have the full story. And sometimes, many times in our favorite movies, the love that we're seeking for, that we're looking for, the love that we see as an example of a perfect relationship is not it. It's just, and you start seeing that when you start working on self-love, when you put yourself first, and when you realize that your standards are a little bit higher than what you see around you. And it's a beautiful journey, and like every step was worth it. Every healing, every forgiving, it was all worth it. And now I'm in this place in my life where I can honestly forgive every ex-boyfriend that I had, and I can honestly forgive myself for being in every one of those relationships. And this is what made me me, and this is what allowed me to help you, to heal my clients, to help people who want my help and want my guidance and my leadership. I've been through hell in my relationship, and here I am, and everything is fine, and life is beautiful, and my relationship now is amazing, and it's everything that I ever wanted. And I want the same for you, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Reach out if you want to talk about it, if you want to ask me something, if you want my answers to some of your questions. Ask those questions. Let's talk, let's have a conversation, and yeah, you can be happy anyway. That's my message for you today. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you next time.